This is your Barbados Today Morning News Update for Monday, September 20. Head of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Ed Clark, suggests COVID-19 vaccines will eventually become mandatory. Last month, Prime Minister Mia Mottley told the nation the cabinet was opposed to mandating vaccines. But speaking on the Public Affairs Department's program one-on-one last evening, Clark said it's unlikely that Barbados will achieve the desired number of vaccinations to achieve herd immunity voluntarily, and mandatory vaccines may be the only option.
It's still a right of the employer to try and protect his staff and his clients coming into the compound, and to make it a safe place to do business. And, as we said before, there's only one way to find out. The first entity that does it, it will be tested, I'm sure. So let it be tested. The opinion has been given already. We have agreed with government that we are not going to, at this time, mandate any position. People have already said we're giving you a time to do it. But at some time in Barbados, it will have to happen, in my opinion. I do not think we are going to be at the numbers we need to be voluntarily if we continue at the pace we are doing at this time. And I expect that at some time the frontline workers in Barbados will need to be vaccinated.
Government's plan to boost vaccinations is expected to move into high gear this week. At the weekend press briefing, Prime Minister Mia Mottley said they are aiming to vaccinate 50,000 people over the next 5 weeks. She noted that while more Barbadians have been coming forward for the jab, the numbers must increase.
Let us agree to simple targets. Let us agree to aim to get as close to 10,000 persons per week being vaccinated. We're now just under 6,500, I think, a week. So I'm asking to go a little harder. When you go to the gym and they tell you, okay, you're at 12, just give me a little extra to get to 15. Just give me that little extra to get to 15. Well, we're at 6,500, well, give me that little extra to get to 10,000. And if we can do that, and we can maintain that each week for the next 5 weeks, then we will have the majority of those persons fully vaccinated before the end of November, before Independence Day and Christmas, such that we may, as a country, consider then the options of significant review and removal of restrictions that we have in place.
To the latest COVID-19 numbers, 74 persons tested positive for the viral illness from the 1,759 tests conducted by the Barbados Santos Public Health Laboratory on Saturday. The 74 new cases comprise 11 persons under the age of 18 and 62 who are 18 years and older. The age of one person is unknown. There are currently 837 persons in isolation. Since the start of the pandemic, Barbados has recorded 6,527 confirmed cases of the viral illness and 58 deaths. To date, 125,925 people have received first doses under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19, and 97,580 persons, or 36% of the population, have received their second dose and are fully vaccinated. As the surge of COVID-19 cases continues, Health Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic has revealed the majority of cases are concentrated on the southern corridor in urban areas. Minister Bostic said this is worrying, and given the impact of the Delta variant, not only could the areas affected see a rise in infections, but more deaths.
Because the reality is, we have widespread community transmission, and we are impacted by the Delta variant. The numbers are high, but I would say by the grace of God and the work of the teams in the field doing the contact tracing and at Harrison Point dealing with the positive cases and the mitigation measures that we have implemented, it could have been worse, and the vaccines have played a significant role so far. It could have been worse, but it can get worse. And let me say that because that is the way that this has been going across the globe. But we can do something about it by taking the vaccines and encouraging our loved ones and our friends to take the vaccines.
To other developments, when Parliament meets on Tuesday, government will take a step toward transitioning Barbados to Republican status. According to Prime Minister Mia Mottley, Attorney General Dale Marshall will deliver the first reading of the legislation that will provide for a Barbadian to become the head of state.
I'm happy to report to the country that we will in fact be laying the legislation for that on Monday and giving notice to the House of Assembly of it on Monday. And on Tuesday, the Attorney General will move the first reading. First reading is just a process in Parliament, but the actual debate will not take place till the following week, when it is then the second and third reading and full debate. That legislation is simply about what is necessary. One, to ensure that we revoke the Independence Order in Council that was done by Her Majesty the Queen, and make sure that what is left with the Barbadian Constitution is simply a Barbadian Constitution anchored by the Parliament of Barbados and not anchored by the actions of Her Majesty in 1966. It does not in any way change any major thing, other than it provides as well for the election of a Barbadian head of state.
In other news, the Democratic Labour Party has again criticized government's move to import prefab housing from China. On the weekend, Prime Minister Mia Mottley told a national press conference that houses are set to leave China on Tuesday. But speaking on the podcast show, Just Politics, My Worldview, the LP spokesperson on business Ryan Walters again expressed his skepticism about the move, insisting that local contractors should have been used.
And I don't support the move. I understand that they're using time as an excuse, but I believe that the challenge that the government has is mobilizing. And once they are able to mobilize the human resources, the contractors, the labor, I see no reason why this work can't be done, right? So I am totally against it. There are a group, the MPs of small business, there were two of them, right? There was Minister Sutherland and then there was Minister Simmons, who's the current. And both of those guys publicly embraced the cooperative movement. And there's a cooperative that has artisans and plumbers and tradesmen and contractors and small contractors that I'm not sure if these guys were even contacted to be able to help to mobilize to get some of this work done. More could be done in terms of mobilizing, but the government needs to make sure that they speak to the right people. They use the resources that are available to them.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional happenings, the new Bahamian Prime Minister Philip Davis admits that big challenges are ahead for his administration as he settles down in office. More of this report from Eyewitness News.
I'm sure that my government can only succeed if we partner with the Bahamian people. We're going to listen. We're going to consult widely. And we're going to bring people together. This is the best way to make progress as a nation. No leader and no government should be isolated from the people. I also commit to lifting the veil of secrecy on that which has gone before us. So that all of the arrangements under which we have to live are transparent, and those who authored them are accountable. We will govern in the interests of all Bahamians, not just the privileged few.
On the international front, U.S. authorities began moving migrants out of the Texas border town of Del Rio, where thousands of mostly Haitians have gathered under a bridge crossing from the Rio Grande River from Mexico. More in this report from Reuters TV.
Agents at the U.S. border with Mexico have begun moving thousands of Haitian migrants sheltering under a bridge in the Texas town of Del Rio. The increasingly poor conditions under the Del Rio International Bridge, which connects the Texas city with Mexico, led the Department of Homeland Security to accelerate flights to Haiti and other destinations within the next 72 hours. The DHS over the weekend said some 2,000 people were removed to other immigration processing stations on Friday as the town has been overwhelmed by an influx of Haitian and other migrant groups. The department said the transfers will continue to ensure that migrants are, quote, swiftly taken into custody, processed, and removed from the United States, consistent with our laws and policy. But many, like Haitian migrant Alex Rosier, fear returning to their homeland.
That's news, but for the very latest, you can visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.